Thanks for joining us at BrightPath for Autism. We're here with Junko Gardenar, founder of BrightPath. She has invented a personalized autism care navigator designed to empower parents and caregivers at every step of their autism journey. We're also here with Miriam Tovar, who has been navigating autism with her amazing son. And we are here to talk about, what is it like to be a mother of a child with autism? What kind of tools do we have at our disposal today? And what might it look like in the future with AI, with responsible AI technology helping us to step into advocacy in a modern way? Jungo, can you share kind of what inspired this technology for you personally? And Miriam, we'd love to hear kind of where you're at with your journey.
My journey started in 2004 when my oldest son, he wasn't making eye contact when he wasn't speaking. The process was just so chaotic and everything was scattered. There's no one place we can go to get the information. Every autism journey is unique. Every child's needs is unique. Every family's circumstance is unique. So with the help of AI technology, we can create, the BrightPath can create the customized and personalized the resources. So that's the inspiration of BrightPath.
And Miriam, I've had the privilege of being your friend for several decades now. You're originally from Mexico, your family moved here. You've been an advocate your whole life, helping, your family who's only Spanish speaking navigate an English speaking world. Your mom, you're an amazing single mom. You became like a US citizen following the process that is so difficult. It's been sort of an uphill battle for you. And I'd love for you to share the resilience that has come with your journey as it relates to autism and single mom life.
When you say that it has been an uphill battle, I don't know if ever seen it that way,
Yeah.
but it really has been. And I think I haven't seen it that way because in my mind, it's just you just have to do it. You just have to keep going. You just have to wake up. You just have to go. And as a single mom, you do that. But when you get a mix of a disability, it like shakes you up completely, and it's a completely new mountain to climb. The journey with my son Oliver, he's now 8, so I now can confidently say I've been on this journey for a little bit over 8 years because even if I think about it now, I feel like even when I was pregnant, I would have seen signs if I had already had another child diagnosed. I would have seen signs in myself, in my pregnancy, and especially when he was very young. I I never was the type of mom to say, no, my kid is completely perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him. I never closed out a door that would help us, but it was very scary to keep those doors open. When he was about 14 months old, he started talking, and at 16 months old, he went nonverbal again. So that's when I started pushing, for what's going on. And yes, each child develops at a different stage and different time in their life, but when you see a child with a disability, now that I know that it's a disability, and you think back, you realize that there were key factors that would have shown me as a mom that there was something more. And I think that information is something a lot of parents don't get. And even if there's none of it in their family, like that could be a possibility that your next child would have some type of disability. I think it's information that needs to be more open. I now remember, when Oliver was a very, very little baby. Well, he was big baby size, but he was little. He was about like almost 1, and he would do different movements with his head that now I know he was trying to communicate because even though he was little, at 1, you can still say mama. And at 1, you can still achieve milestones that he wasn't. And I was always told I have an older daughter, so I was always told don't compare them, each one is different, boy, girl, and so I tried never to compare them, but it's very hard. My struggles became very early on. 14, 16 months old he was when I started noticing there's something more, there's something more. From that time up until he was 5, it was like taking a jar and pebbles and just shaking you every time there was something new that you had to learn and had to overcome. If I would have been told each case truly is different and you have to have patience because they're trying to communicate with you, they're not just throwing a tantrum, they're not just being difficult. I think I would have seen the situation a little bit different. I would have been more patient. I would have been more um, understanding to what he was trying to do and what he was trying to communicate with me. But it was very, very difficult. We've gone through speech therapies, we've gone through ABA therapies, which the resources are there, but they're very difficult to find. And then also on top of it, very difficult to get into. If you are very wealthy, obviously you can, pay for something that can be seen the next day. But when you're on either state insurance or even a regular type of private insurance, there's wait lists. And if you take a step back, your child doesn't wait. They don't. So you as parent or caregiver have to be the one to stay 2, 3 steps ahead, 2, 3 steps ahead. And the hard part about that is that you learn you have to do that as you feel like you're failing. When you're not failing, you really aren't. But it feels like that because right when something's working, you have to change it because now it doesn't work for them anymore because they're growing. And each stage of their life, and for me, it feels like each year has been so different, so different. And I do believe that depending on how much therapy, how much attention, how much the parents put into the child with their needs will be the outcome that child has. If I know now that if I had not pushed for speech therapy since he was very young, he would not be talking like he is today. Recently, we did a reevaluation of his IEP, and he doesn't need speech therapy anymore. For the first time in so many years, he doesn't need it anymore. We've kept it on just in case there is some regression. However, he doesn't need that. And that's a win. That's a very big win for him, for myself, knowing that, it's worth the sleepless nights, the staying on the computer, trying to figure out where to go, who to go, what to do. Is this person telling me something that's real? Is this person telling me something that they just saw on a post that somebody just made up? And you have to be the one to navigate that. And it's it's very difficult to get the correct information for just your child because it's all trial and error. He is, you know him, he has a world of his own. He is the most happiest kid ever, but he wears his emotions on his sleeve. And it's very hard going to a doctor, you as mom knowing there's something more there, and then them telling you, well, we can't give a diagnosis until X amount of years because and you understand it, right? You understand that they have to give them the time to grow, and hopefully they grow out of it. But there are certain things that it's not as easy as growing out of. And when you don't have a diagnosis, a lot of doors are closed for you because you have to do it on your own because you don't have the ability to go to a therapist. And I think that's where the journeys are very drainful, even if there are more groups, even if there are more resources, if a lot of the times if you don't have a diagnosis, they don't offer them to you very easily. So it has been an uphill battle. I think it still continues, but I've seen the wins, the little wins, and you have to be able to see those as wins. If he's not walking correctly and all of a sudden he starts, obviously that's a huge win. But if he's even something small like holding his spoon, right? If he had been holding a spoon and then he regressed to not holding it at all, not physically being able to hold it, the day he holds it back up, huge win. And you have to celebrate it. You have to be able to be in that moment because a lot of the time I've realized that that's what it is. It's a moment that he may not remember later on because now it's just natural. But you as mom, you've been fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. And if you don't take those moments and truly treasure them as to wins, then I feel like you as mom also stay stagnant and advocating for him, advocating for myself as a parent hasn't been easy. I've had to learn how to do that. And honestly, the only way I've learned how to do that is by talking to other professionals and asking questions. Your providers may not give you the information if you don't ask. You might get a really good provider like I did, but we were very lucky. And they actually want to do more of the help, more of the heavy lifting with you, not for you, but with you. But not everyone has that. I think the new parents coming in, the younger ones coming in, now have, a back end to AI much more easier, and they'll be able to have the resources at their fingertips much faster than what we did. But I still think there's that human connection that's going to be missing. And for that, we need real people, real stories to know that we truly aren't alone. I felt very alone for a very long time because I felt like nobody else was going through what I was going through. And that's a hard place to be and to climb out of and to know you can't give up because you don't have the option to give up. You hear so many stories of, oh, the parent left, the other parent left, both parents left. When you have a child with a disability, you don't have an option to just leave. And I don't think it's an option for anybody, right? They're your child, but that's a whole nother story. Um, but you just don't have an option. You have to keep going. You have to be resilient. You have to show them that this is okay to try new things. It's okay to feel. With Oliver, he used to have a lot more sensory problems than he does now. And like I mentioned earlier, it was like we were getting over one step and then the exact same scenario would happen maybe a couple weeks later and he would have regressed as if we had never overcome it. That's very difficult. And that's something a lot of people don't understand. When you're in the grocery store, the same grocery store you go to every single week, the same cart you take, well, not the same cart, but the same similar cart, the same path you typically take, the routine of it. And then for one day, for that to be feeling like something very new and start all over again, it's very draining. But you learn that that's what they need. They need you to slow down. They need you to be on their level so you understand how you can communicate to them too. with Oliver specifically, if he knows a schedule, he has a much better day. If his schedule is off by something that we didn't talk about, he's off. And I think that happens with a lot of people. I mean, that happens with myself too. But when you have a disability that's pulling on your brain, pulling on your senses all day long, it's 10 times worse. And that's something I learned as well. That, something so simple as the texture of his sweater, the texture of his shirt. These shorts are knee length. They're the exact same shorts, but they're in a different color. It makes him feel different. The exact same shorts. And those are things that a lot of people don't understand. They'll see, you also have family. In the Latino community, you have a lot of your family very close knit to you, um, giving you opinions that they may not understand what you're going through still. And for example, Oliver had one pair of style of shoes for tennis shoes for about 4 years. I just kept rebuying them, rebuying them, rebuying them. And, people will give you comments, and you have to learn to ignore what they don't understand. Because he was happy with these shoes, and I was not going to change them. Like the saying of you need a village to raise a child. You do. And it doesn't necessarily have to be family. It just has to be the right people to address what they need, and you follow through with implementing it.
Right. And Miriam, you've always been very like solutions focused, you don't let problems hold you back. And Junko, I see that in you as well. I see that as like part of the app development, part of the story of why you've built what you've built. Miriam, how long did it take you to get a diagnosis? And then Junko, what part of Miriam's story resonates with you as the background behind the invention itself?
Yeah, so it took me from when I realized there was something more to when we got the actual diagnosis. It took me 3 years. 3 years of, me trying to get them to do an earlier diagnosis. But Oliver's autism is level 1. There's different levels. So even though I noticed the differences, he was still passing as maybe he'll grow out of it. So they pushed and pushed until he was 5. I felt relieved when we finally got it. I did. Because I was a parent that went in knowing there's something there. I don't want to say something wrong, but there's something there that shouldn't be. And he needs help. And I can't give him the correct help until he has a diagnosis.
You made me cry, actually. I was holding my tears as I listened to you. Every parent, every mother go through this. And I went through it, you went through it. And what resonated me most is you're going through this and you're trying to get the right help for your child as you feel like you're failing, not knowing what's out there, not seeing the whole picture. There might be other options that you haven't even considered. While you're waiting for evaluation, or, even after diagnosis, it's so hard to get services. How do you know what questions to ask? You don't know what you don't know. So what BrightPath is designed to do, and I'm aiming to do, is to equip parents with that knowledge. Don't just tell me to wait another year. He needs help now. You can actually advocate for your son. I believe this will help parents who are struggling to help equip, better advocate for your child is a huge win.
Thank you, Miriam, for, sharing your story with such honesty and courage. Oliver is such an incredible young man, and he has an amazing mom. And, at BrightPath, we really believe that change for families happens when technology listens to the autism community, and your unique story is a part of that. To kind of close us out, would you mind sharing one barrier that you would like to see overcome in the next, 3 to 5 years? What would have really helped you as a mother?
I think it's something that Junko just mentioned, the knowing what you can do while you wait. Because with the way things are, at least here in the United States, if a provider cannot give a diagnosis, let's say in our case, until he was 5, then give me a guide to what to do until then. And that is something you just mentioned, Junko, and that hit right the spot because I'm very resourceful and I feel like I was just swimming and swimming and swimming and never seeing the end of it because I was just trying one thing and another, right? I never knew exactly what could have led up to it. And by this, I mean, like, for an example, when you're learning to read, you have to learn the sounds of the letters first. And you can eventually start reading words and then eventually start reading sentences. We know that you take those steps. It would have been very helpful that between the time he had speech therapy and that time that he was diagnosed, if I was told, work on this specific task, have a win, work on this specific task, have a win, and that would all build up until he was 5. And maybe at 5, he would not have that same diagnosis. It would have been different. And it's not that I don't want him diagnosed. I wanted him diagnosed with whatever it is that needed to be diagnosed so I could get him his help. But there's no clear path. And that would have been something that would have helped me a lot.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Miriam. And if today's story resonated with you or reminded you that you're not alone, we invite you to subscribe and get involved. Visit brightpathforautism.com.